Hey friends, it's soup day today. We're going to be making a Pozole Verde, that is the green sauce version of pozole. We're going to flavor it with chicken and hominy, of course. This is a soup you can make well ahead. If you make the chicken and the green sauce separately, you can keep them in the refrigerator, or you can keep them in the stovetop if you're going to put the soup together later. I find it convenient to make this around lunchtime. It's less than an hour of prep total for everything, and when you put the soup together at the end, you're just combining chicken and stock with your green sauce and the hominy, and it comes together real quick, and it's just 10 minutes. 10 minutes to put it together and make soup. I've set out our ingredients here. For our green sauce, we have a couple poblano peppers. These are also known as pasilla. They are pretty mild. This is what you would get in a chili relleno. So I'm going to use 2 of those. I have a Fresno chili. You could use a serrano, which would probably be more authentic. A jalapeno, which you can get anywhere. Here in California, we grow Fresno chilies, and other than the fact it's red, it's pretty close to a jalapeno. But my local market has good Fresno chili, so that's what I use. And I'm going to put some garlic in the sauce, of course. It also calls for a small onion. I'm actually going to use a shallot because I can't really find an onion that size, which is about as much onion. Some tomatillos. Looks like I have 7 tomatillos here if I get them together. It's about 3/4 pound. These are a couple sprigs of fresh oregano, and I'm going to use cilantro. So the real simple thing about this is all this just gets diced up, chopped roughly, put in the blender. We're going to blend it, and then we're going to puree it together with a little stock and then fry it. The meat, we're going to use 4 chicken thighs. I've salted these and left them in the refrigerator for a while. The bone in with the skin. I'm going to fry these. I'm going to fry the skin some to get it to render some fat that I'm going to use in the rest of the soup. And then I'm going to take the skin off. We don't eat the skin. I'm probably going to grill the skin and give it to my dog, because if you're training a dog, fried and grilled chicken skin is a good treat. Got some hominy that goes in the end, and at the end you can garnish this soup with any of the traditional stuff. We like it with some lime wedges to squeeze over, and sliced radishes. Avocado, tortilla chips are all good. It's the kind of things you would expect to garnish pozole with. Okay, so the steps are first I'm going to prepare the chicken. I'm going to go ahead and render that and get it frying and make some stock. One ingredient I'm missing here is, I guess I'm going to use bouillon, because this requires quite a bit of stock. Step 1, I'm going to start the chicken frying. So this is my soup pot. I'm going to use my soup pot to render some of the fat out of the chicken, and then I'm going to cook the stock and the chicken in there. So to start with, maybe 1+ tablespoon of oil. Don't really want a lot of oil. Just need to coat that. And we'll be cooking our chicken skin side down. As I said, this has been salted and has a little pepper. Been sitting in the refrigerator for maybe 30 minutes, maybe a little longer than that. Anyway, it's fine if you can do that. I'm gonna cook that on medium, and I'm gonna give it skin side down. That's probably gonna take about 4 minutes to get the skin a little bit crispy. We don't want to brown this. We don't want it browned. We just want it crispy. We're going to render some fat, and then ultimately we're going to take the skin off before we make the soup. During my 4 minutes, I've mixed up about 6 cups of broth. I'm just using better than bouillon. And I have another 2 cups of hot water. So that's going to be my stock. All right, so here's our chicken. And the skin may stick a little bit. Again, it doesn't really matter. We're taking the skin off, but I like to use it to render the fat. That's getting pretty crispy. So I'm going to pull these off the bottom of the pan and flip them over. If I want to brown the other side, or I guess I don't, what I should say is I don't want to brown the other side, I can grill the other side. I can give that another 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, I'm back after another few minutes. Before I add stock, I'm going to make sure these are not stuck. They probably are. And then I'm going to take some of that very delicious looking fat and I'm going to reserve it because I'm going to fry our green sauce in that fat. I'm going to try to take just 2 tablespoons, really not much, but that's sort of most of what there is. Maybe a little more. Okay, so I'm going to reserve that. This is where we're going to fry our green sauce. For now, to our chicken, we add our stock. I'm just going to cook those in the stock, skin side up, just making sure they don't stick. Add to that 2 cups of water. Now we need to cook this, I would say 30 minutes minimum, because we're going to have to cook the chicken through, but to be honest, there's nothing wrong with cooking it longer. And one of the reasons to do this ahead of time is you can take your time with this. So I'm going to bring it up to boil, and then I'm just going to simmer it low, and I'll be back in 30 minutes or so to check on it. And while it's boiling, I'm going to make the green sauce. So let's get that up to boil and go make the green sauce. For our green sauce, the foundation is really the peppers and the tomatillos. So the tomatillos, we have to peel off and rinse. And then we're just going to very roughly chop them up and stick them in our blender. And I hope these tomatillos look good. Sometimes you might buy some extra if you think that when unpeeled, they might not look so appetizing. I think that one's gonna be fine. Yeah, so we're going to just chop and blend the tomatillos raw, and then we're going to fry the salsa and let the tomatillos cook down that way. That will take, maybe 15 minutes. I don't know, you don't see, this is just, this one's gonna take some work. I didn't really have much exposure to this way of making a green sauce, namely blending raw peppers, raw garlic, raw onion, raw herbs, raw tomatillos. Doing that all raw and then frying the sauce was not something I was exposed to growing up, but it's 100% the way to do this. makes it completely delicious. If you are making a red sauce of this type, you do the same thing, only you'll be using red vegetables and, in other words, tomatoes. Tomatoes, but also red peppers, like guajillos would be my choice. All right, I'm not sure I can really get this. Maybe we're gonna live without that one for the sake of time. Yeah, so it's just, for green, it's tomatillos and poblanos, and for red, go with tomatoes and guajillos or whatever your favorite red pepper is. All right. So since this is all going to get blended and pureed, these do not have to be cut finely. I'm just showing this as proof. After this, it's going to be peel and seed the peppers. It's going to be peel and crush the garlic, peel and chop the onion or shallot in our case. I'm going to add about a half a cup of cilantro leaves and maybe 2 teaspoons of oregano. And we're back. I have stemmed and seeded the peppers, just roughly chopped this up, peeled the shallot, peeled the garlic. This is, I'm calling that half a cup of cilantro leaves and 2 teaspoons of oregano leaves. So this all goes in our blender. I think cilantro is really key for this sauce. I don't know if you need to use oregano or not. All I can say is that the here in Northern California, the restaurants I like that serve Pozole Verde, I can taste the oregano in it, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, there's our vegetables in there. Meanwhile, chicken has come up to the simmer, so that's now in the simmering phase. And I'm going to use about a cup of that stock or broth in addition here. So first thing I want to do is I want to give this a few pulses on a rough chop to just get it going. I'm probably going to have to use a spatula in this. Alright, that's a good start in my book. Alright, now I'm going to put this on very low, and I'm going to add, what am I going to add? Let's call it a cup. Let's call it a cup and a half. How about that? This is just coming out of our simmering chicken. So this will add a little bit of fat. And of course, some salt, which will help make the vegetables delicious. All right, that's a cup and a half. So I'm going to put this on slow as I can get it, and then add that down. Now we can really puree this. Maybe I'll scrape that down just a bit. Okay, we now have the puree of our salsa verde. Now back to our second pot where I had reserved a couple teaspoons of chicken fat. Now we're going to bring this up to temperature. And we are going to fry our salsa verde. Again, and if you're using red sauce, you do the same thing. Once we've fried this, we can store it and use it for enchiladas or anything else you might want to use a green sauce for. The key to cooking this is you can see this is sort of a light green color. We're going to want to cook it until it's a darker green color. It's really the tomatillos. You don't want the taste of raw tomatillos. So that's going to take about 10 or 15 minutes, but we're all doing this when the chicken is simmering anyway. So let's get that together. And we'll bring this up to a very low simmer, or we'll bring this up to a boil and turn it to a low simmer. The color is something that is like maybe more a matter of experience, but I hope you can see on the video. This is sort of a light pea green. It looks like uncooked pea soup. It looks like uncooked tomatillo green. And when this gets up to temperature, we're going to simmer it and just cook out the tomatillos, and it will also reduce. Remember, this has a cup and a half of stock in it, so it's it will thicken, to be sure. But okay, so it's bring this to the boil, turn down to the simmer, and give it I'm going to say 15 minutes. We'll play it by color. So maybe I can do a snap cut, and you can see this is the color it looks like now. And when we come back, we'll see the color when it's cooked. And 15 minutes later, doing some occasional stirring. This is the level of simmer we're at. And you can see the color has changed. I hope on the video the color change comes through. This now no longer looks raw. It's not quite so pale. It looks like cooked pea soup instead of, or cooked tomatillos instead of raw. That's all we need. We just wanted to bring that together. Okay, so this now, we can just turn the heat off on that. And that can sit until we're ready to make our soup tonight, or if you want to put it in the refrigerator, you can. If you want to split some and put some in the refrigerator, have some tonight, that's all fine. I use that 15 minutes to do some cleanup. The next thing we're going to do is when this chicken has simmered enough, I'm going to take the thighs out and let them cool so that we can shred them. I guess I can do that now. Okay, this is not going to be too complicated. I'm going to let these drain and cool for a little bit. That will make it easier to shred them. And to get off the bones and the anything else I want out, I'm going to then grill the skin, and when it's dry and nice and crispy, it will be appreciated by the furry carpet that is my dog. Okay, so yeah, I'm talking about you. Okay, let's skin and shred this chicken. Now that it's cool, this should be pretty easy. And The longer you can cook this, the easier this is going to go. But you can see that's not hard to do. Yeah, you wish. Okay, so I just fork shred this. I don't think there's anything that's going to happen where you need a knife. So that's pretty easy. And yeah, you think you're going to get some all right, there we go. I'm going to do it for the other ones. And there I've fork shredded the chicken, pulled it off the bone and the skin. You can throw these away. I'm just saving the skin because I have a very interested member of the household who knows that this is going to be dried out and turned into crispy treats. Okay, so how easy is it to put this soup together? We've got the chicken stock / broth. I'm going to bring that back up to a boil. Got the green sauce, just goes in the stock. I have opened the can of hominy and drained it, and the chicken. We're just going to put it all together. Really, just to show how easy it is. And again, you could cook this salsa as much ahead of time as you would like. If you're going to save it for a day, I would probably refrigerate it. But it only gets better with a little aging, as you can imagine. Okay, so we mix that together, which is very easy. You can see that color. That's what the soup should look like. That's beautiful. And I'm gonna add my can of hominy just to heat it through. It doesn't need to be cooked. It's kind of better if it isn't, because it's got some bite. You know, it's got some resistance to the tooth. Al dente, can you say that about hominy? I'm not sure. Anyway, we just want to heat this up. And then we'll put in the chicken, and then it will be ready to serve. I paused that for just a minute, since I didn't want to make you watch soup come to the boil. But now that it's hot, we can serve it. Oh, that looks beautiful. This could, in theory, call for some salt or pepper. I find there's plenty of salt in it just from the stock, and the chicken's been salted. But you can taste it and see. I'm not sure that you really want more pepper in it, given if I used a whole fresno, which is going to be plenty of heat. But here we go. Mmm. 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 That's good. The tomatillos are sour. The peppers are hot. The hominy is sweet. The chicken thighs are rich and meaty. That's good stuff. All right. Enjoy. I put the chicken skin in the convection oven for 15 minutes and let it cool down while the humans ate their dinner. And now we're going to confirm that that was a good idea.